All right, you want me just to,
Yeah, let's get
okay.
started.
Well, thank you again all for joining us. And so for those of you that are looking this as a recorded, my name is Jan Kiphart. I actually do work for John Cabot. I live here on the East Coast. I don't live in Italy. So there, yes, there's a time difference, but it's not the time difference between the United States and Italy. So this is going to be a very quick presentation about John Cabot and some of the services available and living in your apartments and being around Rome and that sort of thing. So this program, for all intensive purposes, from what we hear back from students, will definitely change you in maybe multiple different ways, but it will definitely be an experience of a lifetime. And it is a global experience, obviously, but it also is going to be a very personal experience. And, you know, how it changes you may be different from a friend of yours who's also going. Rome is considered the eternal city. It is a big city. It's dynamic. There are over 4 million residents in Rome, and there's lots of major attractions. So those of you that might be joining us for the summer, which is probably all of the engineers, that there will also be, tourism is back. There'll be lots of international visitors and tourists coming to the city. So it will be very, very busy. It is, of course, the ancient city. I was once read a book and it described Rome as a living fossil. And I thought that that was a perfect description of Rome, because you were going to see things that were built back in the 200 AD, and they're still surviving today and thriving in some cases. But then there is the modern city that also is existing among all of these ancient buildings and ruins. What's kind of neat about it, like some of our larger American cities, Rome also has the smaller neighborhoods, and each of the neighborhoods sort of has its own unique personality. And I would encourage you to explore the different neighborhoods and find out about the different personalities. Now, John Cabot is in one of the oldest neighborhoods. It's called Trastevere. When I first visited, I felt like I was on a movie set. You know, it's the stucco buildings with flower boxes, laundry hanging across the street, that sort of thing. It's a safe, welcoming area, lots of shops, lots of restaurants. And these are some of the typical cobblestone streets that you'll be walking down, perhaps to and from your apartment, going to class and back, that sort of thing. You can see in the evening, people are out, lots of outdoor dining and that sort of thing happening in Trastevere. Now, this is the sort of the main, what I call the main intersection in Trastevere. And that archway is part of the original Aurelian wall that went around Rome. And I've had students say that, you know, they've touched that as they walk through there, because they understand how many millions of people have actually passed through that archway. And you will be going through that archway, I'm sure, because one of our classroom buildings is right through that archway, and one of our residents' apartments is through that archway as well. So it is, you hear it all the time. It's really all about location. So where is John Cabot? This is a sort of a cartoon map of Rome, and you can see that this blue windy strip that's going through the middle, that is the Tiber River. It splits Rome into two halves. Up in the top left-hand corner is the Colosseum, the Vatican and Vatican City. Down here in the bottom right is a Forum and the Colosseum. And this area here, kind of in the crook of the elbow of the river, is where a lot of the iconic sites, Piazza Navona, the Fountain Trevi, the Pantheon, all are in that particular area. We are right across the river from that area, on the same side of the Tiber as the Vatican, here in Trastevere. So if you were to walk from Trastevere to the Vatican, it's going to be a 15-20 minute walk, depending, of course, where you might be in Trastevere. And then going across the footbridge, across the Tiber, to get over here into this area of Piazza Navona and the Fountain Trevi and the Pantheon, I'm going to tell you, it's going to take you 10-15 minutes. You'll get lost. It is what part of this adventure is all about. You're going to be walking on the ancient streets and seeing all of the buildings and shops and restaurants and iconic sites and that sort of thing. Plenty of gelato, plenty of pizza to keep you happy while you're wandering around. So then if you're going to take the walk to the Colosseum, that's probably a 20 or 25-minute walk. And I talk about walking. There is public transportation and you certainly can take it, but Romans are walking. You will do a lot of walking while you are studying with us for sure. So this is study abroad, and we must talk about the academics, definitely. So John Cabot is an interesting place. It is actually a 4-year American accredited institution. So there are students at John Cabot who are earning a bachelor's degree with us, just as you are earning a bachelor's degree at Texas Tech. We do have an international enrollment, and in the fall and spring semesters, our enrollment is about 1,500 students. Half of those are our degree-seeking students. Half of those are our study abroad students. Now, our degree-seeking students are coming from all over the world, and they are mainly Italians, but again, we have students from other countries as well, including the US. There are some Americans who are studying and earning their bachelor's degree with us. And then our study abroad students are primarily from the US, and they are from all over the US, from the East Coast to the West Coast, Texas to Michigan. Now, in the summertime, our enrollment is about half that for first session. We might have 600 or 700 students, and we will have some degree-seeking students enrolled in the summer session 1, but the majority of students probably in both summer sessions will be study abroad students. So you will be meeting students from all over the world, but definitely all over the United States. All of our classes are taught in English, and all students do live in apartment-style residences, and we're going to talk a little bit about the different residences in a little bit. But I do want to say that which apartment residence that you are in does depend on what session you are enrolled and what your arrangement is, meaning what Texas Tech's arrangement is with John Cabot as to what apartments are available to you. But in the summertime, we typically have just a couple of the apartments open because of our enrollment is smaller than the fall or spring semester. We do have extracurricular activities going on, and we hope that students will participate in those. Again, in the summertime, it may not be as many as we have in the fall and spring semester, but there are still activities happening, and it's a great way to meet other people and get out and see other parts of Rome or other parts of Italy. We've got full health and wellness services for our students as well. So you all are going to need to have health insurance, and you'll be able to either get that through Texas Tech. And Allie, I'm right. They'll get it through you, correct?
Yes, and I also provide all of the insurance letters for them.
Okay, perfect. So we do have that. So there's a doctor that's on call 24/7. They will be available to do physicals during orientation, because in order to use the fitness center or go on some of our athletic, what I call high energy trips or outdoor trips, you will need to have a physical in order to participate in those kinds of things. And again, we are located in the Eternal City. What I want to stress to you, though, about the academics is that this is the American style of education. So the transition between the Tech classroom and the John Cabot classroom should not be very difficult for you. Our classes may be smaller, but you will be asked to do group projects. There'll be class discussion. You'll have assessments along the way and a final exam in the class. And like I said, you are able to come to us for a summer, fall, or spring semester, and this just gives you the dates of the start and end dates of each of those sessions. And you'll see there at the end that we typically do not have classes on Fridays. So therefore you will get a typically a 3-day weekend. Now that does not mean that there wouldn't be a final on a Friday before you leave. So please don't make arrangements to leave on Friday just because there are no classes, because there could be a final on that last Friday. Summer session 2023, here are the specific dates. And again, no classes even for summer session on the Friday, but you could have that final exam on a Friday. Now, these are typically the kinds of engineering mathematics courses we have offered in previous summer sessions. However, you can go out to the John Cabot website because our summer schedule is now posted. And so you are going to go out to the main John Cabot website, go to academics, go down to course schedules and click on that. And you can choose the different sessions in the summer to see what's being offered. And then you can also choose the subject area. So, you may be taking, and I hope you would only take one engineering class, and then you may look for an English class or maybe a political science class if you're going to take 2 classes with us. But you can sort that class schedule by department or subject area. We do try to use Rome as a classroom as often as we can. So I would recommend taking a look at that class schedule, because you will see some classes that parenthetically are noted as on-site classes. And what that means is that class is actually going out and looking at going to the different museums, going to the different monuments, that sort of thing. They're very popular. You're going out with a faculty member and getting a great education about Rome and the history of Rome. And they're so popular that we've actually divided them up a little bit so that you can do Renaissance and you can do ancient Rome and that sort of thing. But you can take a look and see what's on the schedule of classes. We talk about 3 campuses. It's a little bit of a misnomer because it actually is just 3 buildings. They are, 2 of them are about 10-minute walk from our original campus. So they are close by. And then you are walking on those cobblestone streets to and from the different classroom buildings, and you're going past the restaurants and the pizzerias and coffee shops and that sort of thing. So it's a nice walk. Our oldest campus and our original campus is our Guarini campus. That is actually the building that I mentioned that is right through this archway, the Aurelian Gate, if you will. And that's where our Guarini campus is. It's a very old building. We actually share the space with the National Italian Academy of Science. It's actually where Galileo taught. So it gives you an idea of the ancientness of the building. It's been renovated. It's kind of quirky with weird stairwells and that sort of thing, but it has these beautiful outdoor courtyards and terraces. All of this is Wi-Fi accessible, so you can hang out before class or wait for friends, still have access to Wi-Fi. It also is the home of our library, and our library is considered one of the best English libraries in Rome. There are computer labs and study rooms there. So if your apartment were to be too noisy, you can certainly get into a study room and do your studying. My guess is that you'll also have access to Texas Tech's library while you're with us. So there's no reason why you wouldn't have all the materials you need for your classes. So now, from the Guarini campus to the Froling campus, it is probably an 8 or 10-minute walk. And again, you're passing by the pizza places, gelato shops, and that sort of thing. But this building, the Froling building, is a little bit more modern. It was actually a Jewish high school. And it has classroom space in it. It has student activities offices and that sort of thing. But it also has the cafeteria. So we do have a full service cafeteria. It is an optional meal plan if you want to pick it up. You do not need to pick it up before you arrive on campus. If you decide that doing your cooking and preparing meals in your apartment is too much, you certainly can pick up a meal plan once you get to campus. The food is pretty good. It's primarily Italian. You can go in and grab a sandwich a la carte if you don't choose to do the meal plan. There's some different options because they don't serve 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. I'm sure that that's typical of your campus as well. So you can see on our website about the different meal plans if the meal plans are something that you are interested in. But here you can see, they've got a salad bar and the coffee bar, so you can drop in and get a coffee on your way to class as well. Right next door to the Froling building is our Critelli campus, or our Critelli building. It's the newest building for us, and it has been beautifully redone with a lot of marble and wrought iron. It is right on the Tiber River, as well as the Froling campus is right on the Tiber River as well. Again, classrooms, office space, that sort of thing. So go into this building because it really is a beautiful building. You can see here's a classroom. So once you got your schedule of classes, it will indicate whether you are going to be in Guarini or Froling or Critelli building. I want to stress also, in addition to the academics, that this is a diverse community that you're coming to. From our faculty who has been born, raised, and educated all over the world, to our student body, and our staff as well is a very international staff. So like I said, you're going to make friends with people from all over the world and all over the United States. So where will you live? We know that that is usually a big question on students' minds. And I have mentioned that everybody is in apartment style housing. We do have 4 different options of apartments. And right now, I don't know what is going to be open and available for the summer because we don't know what our total enrollment is going to be. Typically, we have Gianicolo open and Lungara, and then depending on what the enrollment is, we may have via Trastevere as well. So we're going to take a quick look at each one of them, just so you get an idea of the different residents. Because even though you may live in one, you may have friends that are in another, and you can certainly go and visit and see each of the different apartments. So Gianicolo is about a 5-minute walk from the Guarini campus. Typically, there are 2 to 8 students that are living in an apartment, and you may have a double, triple. There are a few quad bedrooms, if you will, but there's a common area in all of the apartments, as well as a kitchen. In Gianicolo, there is also the fitness center and study rooms and student lounges for students. Now, you can see in the fall that it is a substance-free apartment, and that is only for the fall because typically in the fall, this is where our freshman or first-year students live. But in spring and summer, that substance-free piece does come off. These are a few pictures of what the inside of the Gianicolo apartments look like. And, they've got kind of your standard residence hall apartment, furnishings and that sort of thing. Now, right across from our Guarini campus are our Lungara apartments. Again, 3 to 9 students. Now, in these apartments, there are still some Italian families living in the apartments. So you're going to have a little bit of Italian culture and immersion because you're going to see these people going off to work or school, depending on what your schedule is and their schedule is. Different floor plans for all of the apartments, because none of the apartments, whether it is Gianicolo or Lungara or Via Trastevere, or definitely our neighborhood apartments, they were never designed as college or university housing. They were all built for commercial residential housing. So they all do have different floor plans. Here is sort of a bathroom and a kitchen in the Lungara apartments. That appliance there with the circle on the front in the background of the picture on your right is actually a washing machine. And all of the apartments do come with washing machines. There are no dishwashers. You are the dishwasher in your apartment. And then we have Via Trastevere. So this gets you into a little bit greater immersion into the Italian culture because this is a large apartment complex. John Cabot has a portion of the apartments in Via Trastevere, but the other apartments will be filled with Italian and international families. And you will be walking through sort of the business area of Trastevere or taking a tram from Via Trastevere apartments to the Critelli building. And the tram is an 8-minute tram ride, or you can certainly walk it in 10 or 15 minutes. But again, 2 to 9 students, the greater immersion into the Italian culture. You can see that there's a balcony. All of the Via Trastevere apartments do have balconies associated with them. And there's a grocery store right there on the street level, 2 doors down from the apartment. Common area, dining area, again, a balcony, a bathroom. We do have housekeeping services that do come into the apartments, I think once or twice a week, just to clean up the common areas. They're not doing dishes and going into your bedrooms and that sort of thing. They're just cleaning up the common area. Now, we do have neighborhood apartments, and like I said, I don't know that in the summertime any students will be living in the neighborhood apartments, but this is our greatest immersion into Italian culture because you're in one apartment in an apartment building with other Italian families. So you are definitely seeing more of the Italian culture if you're living in a neighborhood apartment. But again, I want to stress that the apartments are all furnished. We provide the kitchen equipment. We even provide the linens and that sort of thing. They're in safe neighborhoods. We actually have resident directors and RAs in Gianicolo and Lungara. And then we do have resident directors in Via Trastevere and oversight of the neighborhood apartments. There are washers, there are no dryers, and all of our academic buildings and all of the apartments do have Wi-Fi included as a standard amenity. A little bit briefly about our different services. We do offer academic tutoring if you find that you are in need of that. We do have counseling services available for students. The doctor does, like I said, is on call and on campus once a week, and definitely during orientation for those physicals if you are so inclined to get a physical. We do have that fitness center, and we do have 24/7 residential security, and actually our academic buildings do have 24/7 security, which means you're going to be swiping your ID card to get in and out of each of the residence apartments, and then also our academic buildings. We do offer a variety of different trips and activities throughout a semester or a summer session, and you'll get told to look on the website under trips and activities. But like I said, it could be tickets to the theater, it might be a meditation session, it might be a tour of Rome. And then our athletic department does do camping and hiking and sailing and that sort of thing. And those are the ones that you need to have the physicals for. Been to Lubbock numerous times. I think it's a very interesting small city, but my neighborhood in Rome is pretty cool too. And this is the Victor Emmanuel Monument. When you are headed to the Colosseum, you'll definitely see this building, and you can actually go up on the top level of that and look out over Rome. It's pretty cool. Now, the Romans didn't actually develop the aqueducts, but they did perfect the use of them, and many of them are still in use today. And actually, I was reading something that The original aqueduct that is used to bring the water into the fountain Trevi is one of the ancient aqueducts that the Romans perfected. But you'll see Castle St. Angelo, the Piazza Navona, bridges. Now, bridges have been around for thousands of years, but it's the arches that the Romans began to utilize in their construction to make the bridges much more solid and such. So that it's pretty interesting to see all of that structure. Spanish steps. Roadways. Romans were some of the first to develop roadways, and by 200 AD there were already 50,000 miles of roadways in and around Rome and nearby in Italy. The Vatican. This is a picture of the outside of the Pantheon, and I didn't realize this. I read this just the other day, that it's actually the Romans that developed the concrete and cement that built the Pantheon and the Colosseum and many of the different ancient buildings there. So it's really a marvel to see all of these things that were built so long ago. And they're so huge without the modern technology that we're so used to now. Fountain Trevi. And this is where you go and you throw your coin into the fountain. And legend has it that once you do that, then you will be returning at some point to Rome. Walking around in this, particularly in the summertime, you're going to see these funny little street characters out. I like the architectural detail, so I'm usually taking pictures of that sort of thing. Now, this is also we've got academics, we've got some of the travel in there. It's about making connections, and you have the opportunity to make several different connections with many new friends that you're going to meet, with new faculty. They may be good references down the line for you. You're going to make connections with the Italian culture, depending on maybe what kind of extracurricular things you participate in. And again, we've got the extracurricular activities. You can join one of our clubs. We do play sports. Now, our varsity sports isn't happening so much in the summer, but they will have recreational sports going on. We do offer a lot in community service, and it's a great way, again, to meet the locals, which is a good thing. And then we do know that you probably are going to want to do some traveling, and you can certainly do that with friends, and you've got that 3-day weekend. But again, John Cabot does have some of their own trips and activities that are there for you as well. We're on all of the different social media, so please, like, follow, and subscribe to us. And if you've got any questions, my colleague Jim Antonio, he lives on the East Coast as well. You're more than welcome to contact him or myself or Michelle Risuelo, who is our colleague in the Rome office. Just remember the time difference. I like it because I can email her this afternoon, and tomorrow morning when I wake up, I usually will have an answer from her. So I hope this was helpful. I am happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I know some of them may be particular to Texas Tech, but Allie